was no dishonorable discharge. There was no
Yeah.
medical retirement. There was no retirement option. It was,
Yeah.
I made choices that I thought were going to be better, and they didn't work out like I thought they were.
Yeah.
Right? But it's a different type of story, and so when I would try to tell it, people just didn't understand, and then I would get frustrated, and yeah.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's the first part of it.
You know what? I think, and I'm sitting here thinking about it, is like, and I think a lot of veterans go through this, is like, we jump out, we get out of the military whenever it is that when we get out of the military. And if I look at now, if I back up, now I'm older than you, I'm an old man. So I'm your
Not
older
that
brother.
much.
But, but if I back up and look at it, that, that first 5, 6 years, 7, 8 years, or whatever, out of the military, it is the descent. Like it is the descent. That was my time and that was my descent when my life went into chaos.
Yeah.
I feel like, and
But we're
and
taught to
and
keep going.
oh yeah, oh
We're
yeah,
taught
you
to keep
definitely.
going. So we don't
Well,
real
that's
we're
right.
not even like healing through those things because we're so programmed to
Yeah.
just keep going, right? Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's right.
to the outside world, it looks like everything's great.
Yeah.
But honestly, we're falling apart.
Exactly. Exactly. It's truly like, I mean, again, I say it often. I'm like, maybe I was too stupid to quit. Maybe I was too stupid. I just kept powering through because that's what we do.
Mhm.
But yeah, that it's very interesting. And I just started thinking about that. You write, Alone in the Darkness, the unraveling, the reckoning, the exposure of what had been carried in silence. And that's so true because, I was fighting an uphill battle at times. I went out with, well, I'll tell you my biggest thing. Well, my biggest thing, your biggest thing was that T word. And you know what I'm talking about is trust. I trusted everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
To a fault.
I remember my wife looking at me going, "You trust too many people," and all
But you
that. And
know
I'm like, "Well, what do
why?
you
And
mean?"
this is
Because,
a later
I-
chapter, discernment.
oh yeah, yeah,
Lack of
yeah.
discernment. We want to see
It,
the
it,
good in
it,
people.
oh, you want to see the good in people, and you do see the good in people, and you're used to in the military, having your brothers and sisters. I explain it as, and my little metaphor that you could say that I use is, three Marines walk into a bar and
Mhm.
somebody starts a fight with, me standing in the front. I won't even throw a punch because the two guys on my left and right are coming over throwing the
Right.
punches. And then later I get into, a former Marine and two civilians walk into a bar and the punches start thrown and they're pushing me into the fight by myself. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but that's our mindset,
Yeah.
is that we trust, we just think everything's going to go great. And so
Well,
yeah, you get
I
into
think
that.
it's just also one like I had this conversation not too long ago. For me, I didn't necessarily have what you like. I honestly, when I look back on my military career, I don't know that I've ever felt that anyone would
Yeah,
like come to protect me or be that right. Like I always felt like I had to fight my own battles,
that's the Marine
but
thing.
but but that's how I grew up. So it really didn't
Yeah,
matter, right? So
sure.
I didn't even acknowledge it, but I think what happened was I wanted things so badly because there's people around me who are suffering and I know some of their stories and I want to be able to help them. And so when the shiny thing comes and
Ooh.
you think that that's going to be the way that not
Yeah,
only do you get to help yourself, you get to help your family, you get to help, the people around you. That's with me, that's what it was. It was
yeah,
it was all of that. It wasn't necessarily that I think if it had looked differently, I might not have trusted as much, but because of what I thought that thing was,
yeah.
but and you said a long time ago when we did that talk up in North Carolina, you said Jodi has one of the biggest parts of anybody I know. I do, but it's to a fault sometimes.
Yeah, correct. That's what I'm getting at.
I've literally
Yeah.
allowed people to take advantage of me, and that's some of the things that I talk about in the book too. Because when I really
Yeah.
step back, this was a cycle,
Yeah, it is a cycle. It's very, very big
and
learning.
you've gone
Very
through it
big.
as well, which is why you
Oh,
were
that's right.
able to help me through it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, deception, denial, depression, debt, disillusion, disappointment, disconnection, and discharge. That's powerful, right? And I would say that the majority of people out there, possibly not everybody, but go through that phase in life at some
Hmm.
point, you know.
Well, because even if
But
you're not a veteran, I've had conversations with
yeah,
people that were in the corporate world. I just
oh,
the other
absolutely,
day, a lady in the sauna, we ended up in the sauna forever. I told you about this. She had just lost her job after 30 years.
exactly.
So a
Everybody goes
lot of
through this.
people connect with this, even though if you weren't in the military,
Yeah.
it's a connection that a lot of people can share.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the military. We like to think we can take ownership of a lot of things, and we can't, you know.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. Let's talk about this. And I say it a lot to you. I've said it to you. I've said it to everybody. Is that we have to make a choice. We really have to make a choice.
Power
And
of
the
choice.
choice is: do we live in that trauma,
Yeah.
or do we move past that trauma?
Yeah.
And sometimes you can get caught up in that whirlpool. You can get
Oh
caught
yeah.
up of living in your trauma until you say, "Wait a minute, I need to make a decision
Hmm.
to move past this."
And that's
And again, that's what's beautiful about your book. You get there, and then you have to start making some decisions. So talk about part two.
tough decisions.
Yeah,
Tough decisions because and I always say, I lived in survival mode. So when I wrote my other book, I was actually still in survival mode. I just didn't know it, and I was trying to help everybody else when I didn't realize there was still things that I need to work on. But it's only the people that are closest to you that are going to see some of those things, right? Like we can operate one way out in the world, but the people closest to us are going to see things a little bit differently. So, there's that saying, hurt people hurt people. I was hurt, and so I was unintentionally hurting those close people around me, not knowing it. Because
yeah,
I thought that I was doing great when in reality I wasn't, right? So
yeah,
there was some decisions that I was making that were not great decisions. And what I had to do when I finally realized, I was like, okay, the only way I'm going to be able to work through this is if I remove myself and get alone.
yeah,
But that wasn't easy. That was not
yeah,
easy. And it was very misunderstood.
for
But I
sure.
had to be okay with that. So that's
Yeah,
when, I talk about in part two, the decision. I, I was Googling life coaching PhDs one day. Don't ask. And I came across a PhD from Regent University called Psychological Counseling Studies. So chapter 8 goes into the doctorate. But now I know, because the GI Bill only covered 5 semesters.
yeah,
Now I know that I needed that during that time. I don't know
yeah,
what's going to happen. I don't know if God's going to make a way that where I can complete it. I don't know what that's going to look like. I do know I'm never going to be a slave to debt again. So
yeah,
student loans are out the window. So he's going to make a way if I'm supposed to complete it. But that's where chapter 8 starts, where I talk about that, because I think sometimes I can say this I have forced myself the way to complete things. Like the old me would have figured out a way to finish that doctorate, even if it meant going back into debt. But because of what was happening, I knew at that point I cannot be a slave to debt ever again.
yeah,
And so I allowed myself to release that thing. Whereas before, I would hold on tight to things that I might not have been meant to hold on to.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
that's where part
walk me
two starts.
through Walk me through part two, decision, the 7 D's on that. Walk me through those.
That's just basically, I mean, like I said, chapter 8's doctorate. You got doubt, desire, discernment, which that was a big one, decision, discipline, and detachment.
Yeah.
Detachment was where I finally had to learn I can't hold on to everything. I
Yeah.
can't, because it will take us down. There are some things that we're just not meant to finish. Maybe we were only, there's that saying, people and things come into your life for a reason and a season, right?
Yeah.
I didn't adopt that very well because I grew up as the only child. I didn't have a lot of people around me. So when I got someone good or got something good, I wanted to hold and clench it.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want to lose this, right?
Yeah.
And I had to learn the detachment is just releasing, saying, okay, you got it. You
Yeah.
got it. Whatever this is supposed to be, whatever it's not supposed to be, I'm good.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you a hard question. Put you on the spot. Um,
You never do
people,
that.
the people, the trust, right?
Yeah.
So there's lots of conversations when, the shiny object would come across your path, and that could be in the form of something, a
Mm-hmm.
thing, or it could be a person, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that because I think that, when you're living back in part one,
Mm-hmm.
you're looking for the ability to climb,
Yeah.
and so sometimes that shiny object can come in, and that shiny object can take all of your focus because you think, oh, this is it. And I think that that's important because I think one of your growth things that you've gone through and that everybody goes through is like, wait a minute, that shiny object is not actually shiny, and it actually takes a lot of work, and it doesn't just happen overnight. You have to put the effort in, you have to
Mm-hmm.
put the time in, and it takes time and it
Yeah.
takes focus. So talk about that a little
The
bit.
problem with, well, focus is that's a big word. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
did
not a
not
D word,
have
but I
that.
threw it in at the end.
Well, there is another D word, distraction. And that
Yeah,
was, as you were talking, that's the word that kept coming to me because those shiny objects become what I now know are distractions.
yeah,
They are distractions because they take us off. It's funny. I was just having this conversation the other day where I said it's kind of like when I'm walking my dog, and and she's trying to sniff everything because she's one of those breeds they want to sniff everything. And I just had this knee replacement, and so I had to wait until I found her shot collar, which I don't have to use it, but because she got trained as a service dog with it, she knows as soon as I put it on, she goes into service dog mode. I'm not
yeah,
pulling, I'm not doing the things, right? But I thought about when she does without, even with the collar, she tried because she's stubborn
yeah,
too. But but I thought about like when she kind of goes off a little bit, and I have to nope, leave it, come back, go on, because of course
yeah,
I had to get trained too on commands and think no, leave it, come back, and and I'll kind of yank, just a little bit, and she'll readjust, and I said, oh my God, that's what God does. That's what He's doing the whole
absolutely.
time. It's just
Yeah,
we don't have a leash around our neck or a shot
yeah,
collar. But I tell you, you go through a couple of things, and that's your shot collar.
yeah,
And that's what happened with me over this last year and a half, 2 years. I had to go through. I mean, it's kind of when they say, you hit rock bottom and then you find out you can go further.
yes, yeah. That's funny.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I went way further, but that was the wake up call that I needed. And I do
yeah,
believe that God knew that. I was just going to keep pressing through, and I got comfortable too. That's a big word too. That's not a D word either, but there's
yeah,
comfort, but there is discomfort. That is a D
yeah. That's the D
word.
word. There you go. We can go
And so
discomfort.
what
Yeah,
happens out of the comfort is you then can hit discomfort. And when
yeah,
you hit that, that's that choice of, okay, how do I operate now?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And it wasn't pretty. I tell people now, like, there was days where I was on the couch and my win for the day was getting up and taking a shower.
yeah,
That's the depression, right?
yeah. That's the depression.
I've gone through that before, and so I recognized it when it happened, but I still allowed myself some of those days. But I also tell people, like, there was times where you would just call me. What are you doing?
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things I love. I mean, and when you talk about God and all that, I get this thing where I'm like, hey, you need to check in on Jody, or you need to check in on Brenda, or you need to check in on
Hmm.
Kate, or you need to check in on Josh, or any of us, and I
Yeah.
get that thing, and it's a lot of times when I get that feeling and I pick up that phone and I check or I send that text, it's like, yeah, I need to talk to you,
Yeah.
I need to talk to you, and that's important. That's important that we're here for each other in
Yeah.
those low times and all that.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Well, I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
There wasn't too many people checking on me, and I did feel alone. I really did. I felt very alone. Like the people that I thought had my back didn't, for the most part. And like it seemed for a little bit, and I know this is the enemy. This was the enemy in my head, but it was just like no one cares.
Yeah.
I got back
Yeah.
to that. No
Yeah.
one
For
cares.
sure.
If I'm not here, no one cares.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's right. That's right. And yeah. 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 It's yeah. I wrote about this. I was like, obviously I have a whole story of Clark, but you talk about God and all that. And I wrote that, Clark's standing up there by Jesus and he's going, make him focus, get him back in focus. And I think
I got
that's a,
so many angels. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure, like
that's
one
right.
of them, and it
Yeah,
might have been my. You know, it's funny you said that. My grandmother was probably the one.
yeah,
Get her.
yeah. Get her, make her focus. Make her focus. Yeah. Well, that's good. I think it's great. Again, now we're here. We're in the the descent.
Starting to level out.
Yeah, we're starting to level out. We're starting to make good decisions, starting to But well, let me say this, obviously a lot of these words build into this, but to level out, you have to recognize what the problems are. You have to recognize, and that's what
Oh
you're
yeah.
saying that you were able to do. You're able to now sit back and go, wait a minute. These are the things that have caused me to get down here at the bottom. And if I'm gonna be down here at the bottom and I want to get out of the bottom, then I gotta, you know, make some changes, which leads to part three, which is deliverance, right?
Yeah.
You have to deliver yourself out of the bottom, out of the pit. So talk about deliverance, part
I
three.
don't take credit. Um, and I talk to people about this. It's very interesting to me. I just thought of this. I wrote the first 7 chapters last year and the next 14 after.
Yeah,
Guess what happened before that, a couple months before? I had a knee replacement. I had
yeah,
to stop.
you did.
I had to pull back. And this is what I tell people. When we are just in go, 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 and I remember people telling me this, I didn't know it though, right? And so when people aren't willing to listen, I just let them go because I know. I
Yeah,
already know. I've been there too. I didn't want to hear nobody either, right? But I had to be still. There's no
yeah,
way I would have allowed the deliverance to come had I been able to keep going because I would have been going to all the networking events, still trying to
isn't
be
that funny?
whatever people wanted me to be, right? And but I had to like literally sit with myself and really pay attention. And so when I started writing part 2 and 3, it became a lot easier because at that point I had already pulled back for a couple months and I had already been seeing all of these things. So when I came back to the D words, I was like, oh, I can write about these.
Yeah. Do you want to know? You want to hear something interesting? Like this has been fun. This why. You talk about we're never walking alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're always walking beside each other. I did the same thing when I got cancer. When I got the cancer, that's when I rewrote the last half of the book.
Isn't that
It took
interesting?
that. It is very interesting, and I hadn't thought about it really much until you talked about it. Is that yeah? In that recovery phase of the cancer and the cancer surgery and all that, that was my time, just like your knee replacement, where I sat back and I said, okay, let's think about this, and you know what? Let's rewrite. And I did. I went forward and rewrote it. I
God
tried to
knows
make it too
us.
much about. I tried to make it too much about convening, and it's
Right.
no, it's not about.
It's your
It's not
story.
what it's about. It's my story. So part
Yeah.
two was about really about a lot about. No, there still is some stuff in there, but it wasn't. No, it's my story. So yeah, very interesting.
God knows
Material out
us.
there.
He
Yeah,
knows us.
yeah,
But that's why I tell it, because I see when you've gone through it, just like you've gone through things and you saw some things that I was kind of probably heading into or, able to help me when I was going through it. So when I see people operating a different way or a similar way that I've operated, that you've operated, because we're taught to just go. We're
yeah,
taught to grind and hustle, and we live in this hustle society where people literally tell us you're not gonna get anywhere unless you're not ever sleeping and burning yourself out. They're not saying
yeah,
it in those words, but that's basically what they're telling us, and they're teaching us
yeah,
these things at an early age. So that gets ingrained into us. We go in the military or whatever job, career, whatever, and we get the same thing. We don't have
yeah,
leaders around us who are saying, "Hey, you might want to, hey, take some leave." Like, I never
no.
had anybody tell me to take leave.
Yeah.
Like
I tell you,
most
I
of the
tell
time,
you,
I had to fight for my leave. Right? Like
30
I
days
need
leave
to
on the
take
book.
leave.
Yeah.
Like
30 days leave on the books, and you always
God.
end up having, yeah, you always end up having 30
I
at the end
remember.
of the year.
I remember separating when I went from active duty to reserves. I had my use or lose, right?
Yeah.
Not use or lose, my whatever,
Oh,
terminal
yeah.
leave. Terminal leave.
Terminal.
I had my terminal leave. I'm on 60, probably 60 days of terminal leave. You know what was happening? I was getting called in to write EPI, to
Yeah,
write
exactly.
annual
Exactly.
evaluations for anybody that hasn't been in the Air Force. Okay, I was getting called in for that on my leave. So
Yeah.
nobody teaches you this, right?
No.
Until you crash and burn. And so that's why, like, even when I entered into real estate for a little while, that's why I was so grateful when I got to help the other realtors, because I was just like, hey, I've been here, I see where you're going. Not all of them want to listen, but I
Yeah.
do still get some thank yous every now and then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All right, let's jump to part three. Deliverance.
All
The
right.
give us the 7 words there.
Devotion, because
Yeah.
that became it. That honestly, had it not been for me being willing to just devote my life to, and if you're out there and you don't believe in God, okay, I've been there too, I get it. But if I had not made that decision to say, okay, I want you to have every aspect of my life,
Yeah.
business, health, life, all of it, finances, please take it all,
Yeah.
right? And I've heard these stories in the past of where people get to that point, but I had not gotten to that point yet. I got close, but I had not fully gotten to that point until this other thing happened, which is why I say that actually ended up being a blessing in disguise.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, devotion.
Yeah.
When you devote yourself, then the drive comes, but it comes in a way that you've never experienced it before. It's not
Yeah.
just about you're a driven person. People will be like, you get the atta girl, atta boy, right? Like, you're so driven, you're so that congratulate, right? No, this is a totally different type of drive.
Yeah.
This is drive with the next one, direction.
Yeah.
This is drive with dependency on the source, not yourself. This is drive with declaring that. Like, I got to a point where I was like, I don't care what people think of me anymore. I see where pastors get it, like, minister, like
Yeah.
whoever, like, I don't care anymore. I already know this is the only reason I'm still here.
Yeah.
And if y'all got a
Absolutely.
problem with that, cool.
Yeah.
Like, so it was
Absolutely.
that, being able to declare that, and declare it boldly, declare it where I didn't care what other people thought, or whatever. Oh, they're not going to want to work with me, or that. None of that mattered at that point.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The next one was, once you do all those things, your destiny can come right in front of you. It can literally become the vision that it needs to be,
Yeah.
without all the chaos, without all the distractions, without everything else that's trying to take you away from it. And that's what
Hmm.
happened. I got clarity, and the
Yeah.
destiny was able to come. I'm like, okay,
Focus.
now I know what I'm destined. Yes, focus,
Yeah.
focus. And it's not until you get through all of that that you can truly be delivered from all the trauma, all the negativity, all the people that did you wrong, all the people you did wrong that you're carrying shame and guilt. You can't be delivered from any of that until those things are in place. And that's what I had to learn.
Yeah. This is powerful. I mean, this is great. Actually, I think it sums it up, and these three parts, and it's beautiful because I think that again, you're telling us through your story, you're telling what almost everybody in this world goes through at some point in time in their life,
But we don't want to
and
talk about it.
no, nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to think it. And I think we have a huge problem in America. Again, I am a Christian counselor, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem that we have is too many people want to live in their past, and they want
Yeah.
to live in their trauma.
Yeah.
And that is okay, because to recognize it, to know it's there. But again, I go back to Denzel Washington and the commencement speech he gave. You have to make the decision. Do you want to fall backwards, or do you want to fall forward? And do you want to learn from what happened in your past? And do you want to make a difference tomorrow?
Yeah.
And that's the key. Too many people think, but this happened to me,
Yeah.
but this happened to me, but this happened to me. Okay, but this happened to me, but how are you going to deliver? How are
And
you going
that's
to go forward?
that's the thing. Like you just said, like I was talking to somebody not too long ago. I talk to homeless people sometimes, because I don't, especially when you're going through a bankruptcy, you don't necessarily have funds to give to everyone, especially when
Yeah,
sometimes you're not eating, right? Like, but they see you have a car, and so they think that you got all the money, right? And I go through that all the time, and so I would have genuine conversations with some of them. And I remember having a conversation with a Marine veteran,
hmm,
and I didn't know he was a Marine veteran until probably halfway into the conversation. But he just told, I was like, why don't you have, go through the VA and get some health care and thinking that, so why don't you do this? And this is not the first time I've heard this, because I've heard it from other veterans, homeless veterans. I got tired of fighting.
Yeah.
I got tired of fighting, and I said, and of course this is kind of, I wasn't through the whole thing yet, but I was kind of at the level part.
Yeah.
And so I was in a better place to be able to like pay this forward. But I said, you were in the Marines. I said, my mentor's in the Marine. I know y'all went through a lot, right?
Yeah.
I said, I need you to find a little bit of that fight that you had and find it now. I said,
Yeah.
because I had to fight that fight too. And many of us have to fight that fight. I don't personally know anyone personally. There's probably plenty of people out there. I don't personally know anyone who got their disability, who got in healthcare from the VA easily.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
I don't know
Yeah.
anybody.
No.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping that changes, but, and I don't know what happened to that guy, but that's where I tell people, like, that conversation, he thanked me. He was like, you were meant to come into my life today. Like, I don't know where that went. I don't know where he's at right now. He's
Yeah.
homeless. You know, he didn't have, it's not like you can be like, call me, you know, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I don't know, but I know I haven't seen him on the corner when I go
Yeah.
over there,
Well, that's
unless he
good.
picked a different
Maybe.
one.
Wow.
But,
Maybe
but
hit
you
the
really
mark.
don't
Yeah.
know, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's why I tell people, like you said, it's learning that there is more, and you do have more to offer. And maybe it's not that thing, you know, maybe it's not what everybody wants you to think or wants you to be able to do, you know, because most people just want you to give them money. But what if
Yeah.
you give them a piece of you?
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's powerful. Yeah. It's well, it's again, it's being able to recognize where you're at, being able to recognize what you've gone through, and being able to, you know, strap your boots on and go go get after it.
Yeah,
Life's not easy.
it's not.
Life is not easy, but you can make life into what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And some days you might not have two nickels to rub together to go to anything. But
Mm-hmm.
guess what? I always say, all right, I don't mean this in a bad way, but you know, as an air medical pilot, when I used to do that, we used to, unfortunately, we would fly a lot of people who attempted to commit suicide, and in a
Yeah.
lot of those cases, they had hit rock bottom, and when they hit that rock bottom, you know, they'd given up on life,
Right.
but you can always find another relationship. You can always make more money. You can always, you know, go out and make things happen. You just have to choose to be delivered to do it.
Power of choice. If I
The
had those,
power.
I made some shirts that say the hashtag power of choice. Everybody needs to
It
use that
is.
to listen to this,
Yeah.
because it's the power of choice. And that's what really got me too, is I was like, how in the world am I going to sit here? And, you know, I've been coaching people for years. You know, it might have been in a different area, but I've been coaching people. How am I going to sit here and tell people all the time, like, well, you choose. It's what you choose. You know, you choose to track your foods or not track your food. Like, I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
Who am I to now all of a sudden give up? And I won't say all of a sudden, because it was
Yeah.
definitely not all of
Sure.
a sudden. But who am I to give up? And like you said, like, I am learning now that I can be transparent about my situation, but because of my experiences, which we talk about all the time, I'm able to share, okay, but I've gone through this, so let me just help you with this. And maybe you know, I don't have the ability to help you out financially right now, but maybe this seed that I'm about to give to you through my voice is actually going to help you more. And
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people, you know, like him and even other people just say thank you for that time, thank you for that what you just
Yeah.
said, you know.
Being
And so
present.
that
Yeah.
really, yeah, you know, because most of us aren't. I mean, think about it. Think about this day and age. I have a teenager, right? What are they doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Walking like this, missing everything, right? What if we just open our eyes? I came
Yeah.
up with an acronym. It's funny, I tell people I did not come up with acronyms because of the military. They help me remember things, okay? So
Yeah.
in 2020, I came up with this acronym. I have a hat, you know, most people have no idea that this is something I came up with, but it's C: support, encourage, empower. So I've been using empower for a long time before I actually
Yeah.
put it part of my brand. But that's funny because I was actually at a time where I was like, people are just not paying attention.
Yeah. Sure. I
Like,
agree with
what
that.
if you open both eyes? Like, you know, we get judged if we don't look like people around us, if we don't do the things that people around us are doing. You know, we get judged all the time. But what if
Yeah,
we actually took a moment and had a conversation or just was kind? Hey,
that's
good
right.
morning.
Yeah, listen,
Like,
yeah, you've heard me say this. People just want to be seen, heard, and validated.
exactly.
They
Yeah.
just want somebody to see them and listen to them.
Hmm.
See
Well, and
them
I
and
I
listen to
want
them.
that too,
And,
right? And
yeah, that and
so,
that's a hard thing to learn, to
yeah,
listen, because you want to
yeah,
fix.
yes,
You want to fix. Hey, Jody,
yes.
you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. Well, I probably told you a lot in the past. You need to do this and you need to do this, but you didn't get to where you could do it until you
Had to go
learned to
through
listen
it.
to yourself
Had
and
to
you
go
went
through
through
it.
it. Yeah, and you
I'm
recognize.
a habitual fixer. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm
All of
always
us. I
fix the
mean, many
problem,
people
fix
are.
the problem, fix the
Many
problem.
people
You
are.
know what got me though? I I don't know if my daughter was maybe 13 at the time. I think she's 7th or 8th grade. And I remember she would actually talk to me back then about stuff that was going on. And I remember she was telling me stuff from at school, and I always was trying to fix the problem, right? But I didn't realize that. And I remember her saying, "Mom, stop life coaching me."
Yeah. Wow.
Now, at the time, because this was many years ago, and this was before I kind of, learned some of the things that I need to learn about myself. At the time, I kind of took offense to that because I was like,
I
"But I'm
can
your
remember
mom.
a
I'm supposed to
conversation
like
about
fix, right?
I
Like,
can remember a conversation about that,
I'm
actually.
supposed to fix the thing, right?"
Yeah.
And but what I had to understand is we don't always I when I talk to you, I don't always need you to fix my problems. I just need you to listen, and you've done that,
Just listen.
right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all we need. So I had to learn how to do that. I had to learn how to just step back and be more of a listener than a fixer. And that is
Yeah.
hard. It takes a lot of practice,
A
but we
lot of
can
practice.
do it.
Yeah, to bite, yeah, that term "bite your tongue," that term "bite" it is a very, very true statement. It's sometimes you just have to bite your tongue and because you're jumping. You're like you're coming out of your skin because you want to say something, and it's like, "Oh, just shut up, Matt, and listen." They want you to listen, you know?
Yep.
My wife gets home from work, and when she gets home from work, she's a pediatric, emergency department nurse. She just wants me to listen about
Yeah.
her day,
Yeah.
not tell her what to do to fix things,
Yeah.
but listen. Okay,
Well,
we
listen and be present, because
oh, that's what
listening
I'm saying. Be present. Exactly.
listening is one thing,
Don't
right?
listen like this.
Yes, or even like, I don't know, like for me, and I'm an empath, so I know not everybody operates like me. But if it's somebody close to me, I, like, put a hand on my shoulder, because then it's like I feel okay. I feel like, so my
Yeah,
brain settles, so don't just listen, but like do something. Like
yeah,
do one thing, right? And so that's where, even with her, she doesn't really like me doing it now, but I used to do it, and I would just like, when she would be like flustered about things that were going on, and I would put a hand on her shoulder.
yeah, yeah. She'll get
People
back
don't
to that.
realize that's a calming thing.
Oh yeah, she'll get back to that. It's an
So,
age thing. It's an age thing. All right, let's talk about this. It's amazing what you've done. I think it's really, really cool. Hold it up. Grab it behind you. Hold it up. Let's see it. Here it is. Um, but this is what I want to know. There it is. I want you to tell people where they can get it. And then I wanted you to tell people, what are you going to do with it? You wrote it. What are you going to do with it? And, because here's the deal. Alone. The ironic thing about alone is that you're not alone. And
mhm,
the ironic thing about alone is that there's other people that have walked through what you have walked through in their own way.
yeah,
And there's a lot of people that bring their real life and their real experiences to the table, and there's a lot of people that can come together and make impact on each other.
mhm.
So how can you do that, Jody, and how are you going to do it, because this is something that I know you're working on?
Well, it's kind of organically just happening, because I
Yeah,
said, like, I'd be careful now. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, you
well,
tell me, and then
absolutely.
I'll kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
And he's not on my timeline. I had to learn that too. I do want to say one thing, because I don't want anybody to bypass this. I tell people all the time. So this picture is a real picture of me.
yeah,
This
yeah.
was we were in Okinawa, Japan. It was probably 2016 or 2017. I'm not sure which year it was. But I tell people because on the outside, everything looked great. I was personal training, I was, doing the things. Physically, I was in the best shape of my life. But when I was in the best shape of my life physically, I was mentally falling apart. I wasn't
Yeah.
sleeping very well, right? So this photo actually got captured. That was not planned.
That's
It
cool.
was
Yeah.
captured. That was me pondering, like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah. That's
So
cool.
isn't that interesting, right? And
Yeah.
so when I was looking at pictures, past pictures, I was like, oh, that's it right there. Like it spoke to
Yeah.
me.
That's good.
So I
That's
put that
cool.
on there. As far as where you can find the book right now, it's just on Amazon, self-published. There's a story behind that I talk about in the book too of what happened with my first book. So I was grateful that I've been connected to certain people that have taught me that I can actually do this on my own, right?
Yeah.
Too.
Well, you and I have had that conversation the last couple of days.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
book is about making impact. It's not
yeah.
about, you
Right.
know, going
Right.
and being the New
It's not
York
about the
Times
numbers.
bestseller.
It's not about, I will say that is the only reason I said I hoped it would make the top seller list is because I wanted to be able to get in more hands. But I really had to
Sure.
pull back on that too because that is not in my control. And
Yeah.
I've had to really learn release, right?
Yeah.
Disconnect from the things that you can't control. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm learning now. I'm like, yeah, but the people who are getting it, I'm getting some great feedback back.
Yeah.
So
I will tell
it'll
you
get
this.
there.
I will tell you this. And I know you're getting the great feedback and all that, but when you get the great feedback and you spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, on a Zoom call
Hmm.
with somebody who's read your book and they're telling you how much it's made a difference, you could not sell another book. You could not push another
Right.
book and you've hit the mark. You've
I've
hit the
already
mark.
done it.
You have one
I,
person,
I'm
you've hit the
telling
mark.
you, when I got these books, these physical copies, I took two to a veteran, and I don't even know why I took them, but two's always been my number. Even with my other book, I'd always grab two
Yeah.
every time I went to an event. This girl bought my book, read the back of it, and teared up, and just literally was like, "I'm going through this and this and this," and
Yeah.
I nothing else could have happened after that. I
Yeah.
was
You're it.
good. I
I'm
was like,
telling you.
you just. I told her, I said, you just solidified why I published this book.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's cool. It's very
As
cool.
far as what I'm gonna do with it, well, I've already been like these are things that I've already been talking about for
Yeah.
years, really. But until this other thing happened, it was the wake up call that I needed.
Yeah.
So now this is where when people talk about certain things or when I get to talk about certain things, I can be like, okay, well, when you go through this, what do you do? What is your choice? What are you deciding after that? So as far as where it's going to go, it's going to implement into the things that I'm already kind of doing, the coaching, the
Yeah.
speaking,
Absolutely.
now people, yeah, I will say I was a little nervous when I launched it because I was like, oh, people are going to know my story now, right?
Yeah.
But now people do. So now people will know, like when they have me come in to speak or they have me, they want to work with me, whatever that looks like, they're gonna know that okay, she's been through some things.
Yeah.
This is someone I can trust because she's been through it. She's already been taken advantage of. She's already been so that's my hope for it. My
Yeah.
hope is that people will understand like, okay, this is someone who may not know your whole story, may not have walked through your shoes, but I can relate
Yeah.
to a lot of different things.
Well, they will read your book and they will reflect and they
Yeah.
will tie it to their own story. And
And the
that's the key.
biggest thing is I want this to show people that they can tell their story.
Exactly. Exactly. That's number one.
I told somebody the other day, I said, you can creatively write around certain things. You
Yeah.
don't have to like put it all out there, right? You don't have to say every single detail. There's a way you can write your story creatively where you can still get it out there and it's still going to have the impact it's supposed to have.
Yeah. 100%. I love it. I love it. Well, good job.
Thank
Good
you.
job. It's such a journey that you've gone through. Not always fun, but guess what it'll do? It's going to deliver you. See, I did that.
You did. You did. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. I have one
Yeah.
question for you before we hop off because I know we went way over the time, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully, people out there are listening and they're getting something out of this. As someone who has known me through all these seasons, what change have you witnessed most clearly
Yeah, I'll go back because I've watched this whole journey take place. Majority, not all of it, but I've watched 50% of it, a
You've
lot of
watched
it.
the vital part of it.
I watched the
I'll say
vital
that.
part of it. Absolutely, I watched the vital because I met you post military, not a little bit
You
after, so
met me
post
when I
military.
was really, I didn't know who I was.
Yeah, you came out ready to go, and
Yeah,
then bam, you figured out, ooh, this is not so easy, you
not so
know.
easy.
um, so I think you and I have had a lot of conversations over the years where I got on you one time about the shiny object. Got to stop going after
You
the shiny
told me I
object.
could create a course on it.
Yeah, I told you you could create your own course on going after the shiny object. And that was, but that was part of your story. That was part
Yeah,
of something you had to go through, right?
yeah.
And you couldn't take, well, Matt told me to stop going after the shiny object, so I'm going to stop going after the shiny object because that's what Matt said,
I didn't even
you
know they
know?
were shiny objects.
Yeah, I didn't even know they were shiny objects and all that. But, but the point is like I watched you go through it, but again, it's you had to go through it,
Yeah,
not me telling you not to go through it. You had to go through it. And that's the beautiful, sad, horrible part of the story, the tragedy, But every tragedy turns into a triumph, right? In my mind, it's like if you learn from your mistakes, if you learn from your decision errors, if you learn from the things you've gone through, then you can go out and go do great things. And I think that that's the journey that you've gone on. I think that's where you're at. I think that's the beautiful part of, hey, you got there. And I think it's pretty cool, hearing you talk about, you had to take the pause to really recognize it. And then from the recognizing, it's what are you going to do? And my advice to you is to stay focused. You're on a good path. You're on a good path. You
yeah,
got to stay focused. And you're a great, you brought and Convene 23, you brought one of the most emotional, raw, and real talks of that whole entire speaking event. You're a good speaker, and I've told this story. You got up there, you had these pages and notes. You had these notes in your hand. You had these notes, right? You had the pages and notes
I
in your hand,
did.
and you started talking. And I remember standing by somebody, Eugene, and I remember you turned around and put the notes on the chair behind you.
I just
And I
got
just
chills.
looked at him and I said, "She's got this." And you just went. And that was the thing because you know your story and you know it intimately, and
Yeah,
you've walked it and you've lived it. And so I encourage you to continue to tell your story. I encourage you to continue to stay focused on your story and stay focused on your goals. And don't let these little things, these shiny objects that'll come in from the left and right, go. I've been at Convene for 15 plus years,
I know.
and you stay focused, right? And
I
we
know.
are getting ready to go out and do great things. But you are a central focus and a central part of this Convene family, and what you're doing is going to be a model for others. So
I
I couldn't
appreciate
be more
that.
proud of you as a big brother. More proud of you that you've gotten here. And that you're doing great things. So keep it up, keep going, and but stay focused. Stay
Yeah.
focused.
Well, I
That's
have,
my
I'm a
advice.
visual learner, and I actually have a visual hanging up. I don't have it right here, but it's literally got the things. Everything has to flow into what we're already doing.
Correct.
So it's funny because I didn't even realize that being a personal trainer nutritionist was a distraction. Because
Yeah.
if I really look back at my history, I was always meant to help people heal through stuff.
Yeah.
I
That
just
was
didn't
at
know
one
that.
time. That was one time you had so much going on, all with great intent, by the way. All with great intent.
I just
I'll
want to
always
help people.
help people, all with great intent. But you had to go through that, Jody, to get to
Yeah.
where you are now. I
I
mean,
will say I'm grateful for the knowledge. I'm
yeah,
grateful for the knowledge because now I can pay for some of those things, because that nutrition does play a part with mental health, and
right.
exercise plays a part with mental health, and I know post op like it ain't nothing, right? Like,
Yeah,
so, oh, you've been
exactly.
through a surgery, I got you, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know, and,
exactly.
and so, I am grateful, so I look at it now, and I will say, yes, they were distractions, but I think some of them were necessary distractions because now they're making me more of a holistic person than I would have
Absolutely.
been before. It's
100%.
funny, I did say one thing. the other day to someone. I said, you know, I was asking God because we were talking about how we got to be careful what we ask God for. And I said, yeah, you know, I kept asking God to keep me humble. Right?
Yeah.
And what happened? I move out of
He,
my house. I get I go through a bankruptcy and I have a knee replacement.
well, you asked for
Okay.
it. Yeah. You asked for it. Yeah. You asked for it. That's right. Yeah. When you
And
ask,
oh, by
it
the
will
way,
deliver.
during the Chapter 7 bankruptcy, they also informed me I cannot make any extra money. That
Yeah.
will humble you, you know.
Yeah. 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 I can tell you a specific time when I was in Israel at the Western Wall, and I wrote my prayer on a piece of paper and folded up and put it in there, and I put both
Mm-hmm.
hands on the wall, and I said, "God, use me for Your will." And that was in the that in the book, and it said, "Are you ready? Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure? Because if you want me to use you, here we go.
Yeah.
And you got to be willing. If you ask for it, you got to be willing. And don't ask for it if you're not willing. So,
And you guys
but yeah,
make sure, do you have your book by you?
I got it on my phone. Hold on, stand by. Hold
Make
on.
sure you guys go and support him too, please. I
Oh
know his
no, I don't. I
story.
don't have my
You don't
book
have
actually. I was just thinking about it. I thought you were talking about
what's the
this.
what's the name of the book?
Alone,
No, the name
alone.
of your book, silly.
Mine is 12 seconds change everything. Why your
Yeah.
story matters.
Yeah, so
So
see, so you're not alone. You're, you know, and I tell everybody that, you know, the people, the good quality people that I'm connected to are your people too. So just always remember when you're going through those seasons of hardship, you're really not alone. It's just
yeah,
we have to make that choice of, you know, sometimes we what I had to do, I had to understand that isolation was actually healthy for me at that time
yeah,
because I was chasing people, I was chasing validation, external validation, and I was not learning how to value myself. I didn't really know who I was. Who am I, right? And
yeah,
when you're in those seasons, you kind of got to get away from all the noise. You got to get away from the chaos. You got to get
yeah,
away from people pulling you in 50 million directions because it's easy to get pulled in those directions if you don't know who you are.
yeah.
So take a
Absolutely.
step back, take the time. I know it's hard. We all got bills, we got things we got to do, but I'm telling you, if you don't do it, something's going to come and it's going to force you to do it. So I
Yeah,
hope you don't wait that
absolutely.
long.
Yeah,
So Matt, thank you again for
yeah.
this. I appreciate you.
You are welcome.
Um, for anybody that's tuned in, we're over an hour. This was supposed to be like a 30 to 45-minute thing, but we should know better. Every time
Yeah,
Matt and I get on, we should know better by now. but
yeah,
but I really do appreciate it. Though, you know, when I thought about who could interview me about this book, it was obvious you were the obvious choice. And so
yeah,
I just appreciate you for taking the time out to do that because time is our most valuable asset. So
yeah,
thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate you.
Anytime,
And
anytime.
for anybody who's been listening, thank you so much. Feel free to message me. You know, whatever that looks like, we'll connect. And obviously go to Amazon, get the book, and don't just read the book. Please leave a review.
Yeah,
Let me know your thoughts. You know, let me know your thoughts because that does help me see the impact that it's getting to make. So
yeah.
thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you again soon.
All right. Thank you.